Welcome to podcast number 5 with Tricia Brown. Tricia is a woman who helped pave the way both at a Queensland state level and Australian level in sport. Her journey sees her success across cricket, rugby sevens, rugby 15s, Gaelic football, and at the ripe old age of 40 she continues to put on the green and gold in one of her proudest moments for triathlon. Brownie speaks openly about sexuality and the relationship dynamics across larger team environments and how her mindset was able to switch it on and off as she needed to perform. A true pioneer to women in sport, hear how Brownie's mental capacity and tenacious attitude has her still competing against some of the best out there today. If you want to hear more, sub yourself in. Kia ora, hello, and welcome to Subbed. A raw but genuine space for our players and athletes, our idols and sportswomen, to give insight into their journeys of becoming the unapologetically talented females that they are. Hear the struggles and adversity and celebrations of diversity as we peel back and sub you in into some of the most powerful and untold experiences of what it is to be a successful female in sport. Welcome to our Subbed podcast. Tonight I actually have Tricia Brown, Brownie, sounds weird saying that, joining us. Brownie's an amazing, multi-talented cricket player, footy player, Ironman athlete, so we're going to hear from her tonight about her journey, upbringing, how she got into sport and all sorts of things in between. So thank you, Brownie, for coming. Actually, thank you for coming into my crazy household late at night to do a podcast.
Thank you, Kurt.
You're welcome.
It's probably past my bed curfew, but that's okay. I'll wake you when my alarm goes off for training in the morning. No, just jokes.
Yeah, actually, is that what you have coming up? Training tomorrow morning?
Yes.
Okay.
That's okay.
That's okay. We won't talk for too long. I had one earlier
No.
today that was quite long, but
No.
Anyway, what we'll do is I'll get you to maybe just take us right back to the start, how you got into sport, whichever sport it was, because I know you had a successful background in cricket. If you want to take us off back there, how you got into it, how you transitioned into footy perhaps.
So I think I probably started playing cricket when back in primary school in Victoria. Mm-hmm. And I always had a dream of playing cricket, not even knowing that girls actually played cricket.
Right.
And then moved up to Queensland when I was 10 and wanted to play cricket in the school team and was actually told that I couldn't because girls couldn't play in the boys cricket team, so I had to go and choose either Newcomb or netball. So that was a little bit disappointing. So stepped away from cricket for a little while until I got back into high school.
Yeah, okay.
Where we had a school's cricket team,
a
girls cricket team.
Did you do anything else instead?
No, because it was just at that stage it was just primary school sport. A little bit of fun and so I got back into schoolgirls cricket in high school and just tried to do every sport that I possibly could.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't sit still. A lot of my high school teachers always used to say to mum and dad, just get her to pick one sport and she can go as far as she wants. Yeah. But I didn't want that. But I was fortunate that after high school I transitioned into women's club cricket.
Yeah, okay.
And must have had a little bit of talent and probably at the age of 17 got picked up by the Queensland Academy of Sport. Yeah, right. And got offered a scholarship and just kind of went from strength to strength with that. So
what age were you there, sorry?
That was 17.
Oh, okay.
So still, really, really young. There was a kind of a group of us, about 4 of us that were going through the Queensland Academy of Sport, and we were then got selected in the open women's cricket squad, and some of us were selected and it was kind of like, do we go to a year 12 graduation or do we go play cricket for Queensland? And in the end the coach actually said, no, look, finish your school and then,
Oh, that's cool.
So that was really good. Don't regret that. But so cricket just went from strength to strength and, from there I was lucky. met a lot of good coaches, a lot of good people, and then, you know, managed to make it to the Australian Open squad, played under 22s with the Australian team as well. So we had a couple of tours of New Zealand and a series out here in Australia.
Yeah.
And then just so happened that I had a partner at the time.
Yeah.
And she would actually be playing. She got involved in Rugby Union.
Oh, okay.
And had said to me one day, hey, look, we're a bit short. Can you help us out?
That old chestnut.
That old one.
That's how I started.
Yep, that's in it. So it was down at, actually it was behind Queensland Cricket at Brothers Fields at the Filth.
Okay. Yeah.
And and yeah, just went and filled in for them, and just went from there.
Okay.
And loved it. It was something totally different to cricket.
Yeah.
Different mentality, different skills, and so all of a sudden, football or union became my off-season sport for cricket for me. So it was a way for me to maintain my fitness during the off-season.
Oh, okay. So you still maintained?
Yep, was still playing cricket. So it was cricket during the summer, Gaelic, rugby during the winter. And then obviously I was playing, got into union. Even in that first season I was playing union, I had a Queensland selector come and tap me on the shoulder, which pissed my partner off no end. Because rugby was her sport. It wasn't meant to be my sport, and all of a sudden I'm, you know... but I was still trying to go places with cricket. So, you know, that was still my passion with cricket. I just loved it. I'd grown up with it.
Yeah, okay.
So, you know, that was just whatever. And then somewhere along the line, I then also fell into Gaelic football as well.
Can you outline? I'm not even really across
the
difference.
It's a bit of a cross between, say, soccer, Aussie rules, those kind of probably transferable skills.
Okay.
I think I loved it so much because I could just run around like a crazy idiot.
Yeah.
So it was just fantastic. So there was a stage where on a Tuesday I would go to cricket training from 4 till 6.
Yeah.
I would leave there. I would go to rugby training, pick up the end of rugby training.
Yeah.
Leave there at about 7:30, and then scoot over and go to Gaelic training.
Right.
And finish up a Gaelic training, and probably finish up at around 9:30 at night. And
how did your body hold up for that? I guess you're young, eh?
I was still reasonably young. I was in my 20s at that stage, so the body wasn't reacting. Was reacting pretty well.
Yeah.
It was just it was hectic, but I loved it.
Yeah.
I love being active. I can't sit still.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I was just got picked to play for Queensland in Gaelic.
Yeah.
Made an Australasian team. Went away to a World Cup in Ireland 2005.
You're kidding.
So
you're basically getting picked for a Queensland and Australian team in any sport you decide to do.
I've been pretty lucky. Look, but all this while, you know, cricket was still my first love.
Yeah.
And even, you know, when I was still playing rugby and I was getting picked for Queensland, and I got asked to join the Australian rugby squad as well.
Yeah.
I was still chasing my dream of wanting to play cricket for Australia. So I was still in the Australian squad, just couldn't quite get that edge to make it and find the consistency that I needed, but that was still where it was. So I couldn't give to rugby the commitment that they needed.
Yeah.
So I kind of fell out of the Aussie squad for a year or so.
Yeah.
But then the planets aligned. I got an opportunity with rugby again, and you know, it was just I took the opportunity with both hands.
Yeah.
And it was just fantastic, and I managed to go away 2006 to the World Cup in Canada, and you know, there was a few things by that stage with cricket that was leaving me a little bit jaded.
Okay.
Politics, all those fun stuff that happens in women's sport.
Yeah.
And I just remember coming back to Queensland training, and after the World Cup.
For rugby?
Oh no, so coming back to Queensland training for cricket after I'd returned from the World Cup.
Yeah.
And just, I'd had the best time in Canada. It was just, there was no politics, it was just fun, it was new, it was fresh, everybody was excited, everybody wanted to be a part of it, and there was no crap.
Yeah.
And I came back to cricket and I just went...
You can swear, it's okay.
Yeah. I was like, I'm trying to be good. But I just remember coming back going, this is, my cricket, I gave it, I couldn't quite get to where I wanted to. I was lucky that I'd still played Aussie under-23s.
Yeah.
But it just, so 2006-07 was my final season with cricket.
Yeah.
And then just put all my energy, and by that stage as well, I'd sort of let go of Gaelic and I just put all my energy into rugby. And so from, and rugby gave me a good 15 years, 3 15s World Cups.
Really?
A sevens, first ever women's sevens World Cup, which we won.
Yeah.
It's
and there were so many just legends in that team.
Look, you look back at that squad and that was the bid, that was the IRB's bid to get rugby into the Olympics.
Yeah.
So in a small way you sort of look at that and go, I look at the girls of what they're achieving now and you go, there's a little part of me that helped with that. And it's just I love watching, seeing what the girls do today, knowing that I've contributed to that some way along the line. And it's there was a video floating around on Facebook just recently of the final.
Oh, I saw that with Bo.
Yeah, with Bo, and I just crack up because Shelley scored the try. I've come from the other side of the field and I've just jumped and launched and just taken her out, and it's just, you're still watching, you just get goosebumps. But even then I look at that and I go, holy shit, look at the girls that I'm playing with, look at the talent that I'm playing with. Like, those girls are just, I'm in awe of those girls that I played with, and they were just,
and that
was
would
an
have been
amazing,
reciprocated too.
It was an amazing group of girls, an amazing time, and just it's at that stage, we played because we loved it. When I first started playing for Queensland, it would cost cricket. Yeah. You'd go away and you'd play National League games on the weekends, and it was costing me thousands. It was costing my parents. Bless them. It was costing them thousands of dollars. Yeah. You'd go away for a rugby national tournament. It was costing you thousands of dollars. Yeah. I'd go away for a Gaelic tournament. Thousands of, you were just, your pockets, you were emptying them out. Yeah.
There's only so many raffle tickets you can
and chocolates that you can eat and then try and run off. Yeah. But it just, the good thing was though is, and it's not taking anything away from the girls at all today, but you knew though that those girls that were standing beside you, they were there because they wanted to be there and they had an absolute passion for that game. Yeah. And it was something so special.
Yeah. And I don't doubt, like you said, I don't doubt the passion and the drive beyond any measure of the girls in there today. But what are your thoughts on seeing the opportunities that they have now? We're talking about the thousands of dollars, and now it's a it's a fully professional sport. And do you have good feelings that
it's amazing
that's what you've contributed to?
Look, and I mean it's a very, very small part. I mean, those girls of what they're doing now is just, it's a full credit to them, because it is amazing to watch them go from strength to strength and continue to build the sports, from where it was, and it's just amazing, and I just sit there and go, shit, if only I was 20 years younger. I sort of, there's still parts of me that kind of kick myself that I'm like, I wish I'd had a crack at AFL, but it's like, I look back and I go, I was doing cricket, Gaelic, rugby, where was I going to fit? It wasn't going to happen, you know. And I had to choose, and I chose rugby. And
you probably would have been good because you've been good at all these other things. So it would have
I'm a Victorian. I grew up with it.
So just been one more thing you'd have to.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just like I love it. I love seeing where women's sports going. I think, you know, physically you can't compare men and women, but
no way.
It's just what the girls offer. It can be still so entertaining, you know. And you look at the development of, you know, I look at where rugby was to where it is now because they get that opportunity to put more time and training into their skills. AFLW, it's amazing, you know. It's it's so good. But yeah, it's great, you know.
So when you speak about juggling all these sports and the different codes and the travel and the commitments and trainings and like just the smorgasbord of things in order to perform, knowing that we're still women, so you had to, were you studying or were you working like as you got older outside of school? So what were you doing to prop that up as you got older? What were you doing career wise or study wise or whatever, and how did you juggle it? Because
you just I mean
I know it just makes it work.
You want to do it. So like we were all working full time. So like on those Tuesdays you'd go and work your day job. You'd finish your day job, you'd go to cricket training, you go to Gaelic, you go to football training. It's just the way it was. So you just made it work. You know, back in that time as well, like, you know, your trainings were always scheduled outside of work hours. It wasn't in the middle of the day because everybody understood that you had a full-time job. We had to pay for these somehow. You know, God bless my dear father, he worked well beyond his retirement years just to be able to continue to help me, fund me, and look, it's, you know, it's the old cliche, but I couldn't have done it without mum and dad. It didn't matter. They never funneled me into any one direction. They just let me be me. Let me play the sports I wanted to play, and they just, wherever I needed to be, they got me there. They found a way, and it's just, you know, it's I'm very lucky in that sense. But yeah, you made it work, you know, so it's just the way it was. You worked, you paid your way, you trained, but you did it because you loved it.
What was the pay parity for women back when you were in the peak of it all? Was there anything that did subsidise you guys and the commitments?
I think towards the end of cricket, we were at a stage where we got paid maybe, I think, a couple of $100 a game.
Wow. How cool to see where they're at now.
Like full time, you know. And I think on, say, when I went to Canada World Cup for rugby in 2006, I didn't have to pay my way to go there, which was great. That was like, wow, this is a novelty. How cool is this? But we got like a $25 or $30 a day meal allowance given to us as well. So it was like, you know, if you had meals outside of your hotel, that was to cover those meals. But so that's where it sort of all started. Gaelic, there was never any payments because it's such an unknown sport. You know, it's really minority. There was never any payments, but it's but obviously the level of professionalism is probably a little, even the World Cup, or, you know, in Ireland it was probably more social activities than, you know, but it was a great time, and you'd never change it for the world. But it's not much pay really.
No. Well, it's good to see like across those two codes then, particularly where they're at now. Not as much 15s obviously, but definitely for 7s.
Definitely for 7s, and obviously once it did get accepted, you got the, you know, the athlete payments from AIS as well, which you know, they were always a huge help. So better than nothing.
Yeah, that's right. Let's be grateful.
Yeah.
And going away, I know dynamics. So in those larger teams, what were team dynamics? Are there obviously for like all intents and purposes of what we're doing with subbed in there, a part of it is like discussing relationships and not just with partners but with teammates and like dynamics. So World Cup 15s cricket, like these are large squads. What was it like travelling in large teams with as females? Because small groups with females can be hectic. So
a big group. So you go away in the World Cup with rugby, and you got a squad of 26 girls plus your staff, and you're pretty much away for a month. So you're guaranteed that pretty much for all of that time you're probably going to have somebody, you know, with their girlies, and it's just hormones are at an all-time high, and it's it gets, by the end of it gets a little bit narky sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes, you know, because it's just people are just getting over it and things like that.
Which is natural.
Yeah.
Like we're not built to get along with everyone.
No, exactly. But I think you just kind of I don't know, you would start to learn and adapt to be like, okay, that person needs some space.
Yeah.
For me personally, I was always able to recognise to be, okay, I need my time out, I need my space.
Yeah.
So to just kind of go and hide in your room with your roomie or whatever.
Yeah.
Because fortunately when you'd go away on tours it was only rooms of 2. So but you know, and it's but you go through a lot of things as well. You know, you're away from home, you're away from your loved ones, your partners, so you also you do grow that bond with those girls that you're away with. You share a lot. You know, like classic example, 2014 World Cup. I actually, you know, halfway around the world went through a relation breakup. Thanks for that. Halfway around the world over the phone. And that was probably a couple of days prior to us playing a semi-final playoff against the USA as well. But I was able to still get up for that game because of the team, the girls that I had around me, and the support that they gave me. You know,
so it's about finding.
It's a balance. Are
there the times where, like, how do you? I guess is it through communication? Is it through activities? Like, how do you build that trust and bond to know, like, in a relationship breakdown on the other side of the world, going into a semi-final is stressful enough of all sorts as it is. How did you find those people, your people, like?
Well, I guess by that stage I'd been, you know, a lot of those girls that I was on tour with, I'd known for a long time. So, you know, previous tours, you know, obviously a lot of the Queensland girls and things like that who you spend a lot of time with. You know, you do develop those bonds over time, and you get that understanding and things like that. So it's nice that they're like the family that you choose. You know, a lot of those girls, and that's the one thing with rugby that, you know, you can pull. You've got your leaders, you've got your quiet ones, you've got a real mix. But you've got to know when to be there for one another, when to give one another space, and when to pull people in a line as well. You know, we've had instances where we've had to pull teammates into line previously as well, because they're not pulling their weight with the squad in the direction that we're trying to go.
So it's a trial and error, but also over that period of time you learn to know what works for what person.
And you know, the one of the really at a national level, probably one of the best coaches who I played under was Johnny Manenti, who's the current Sevens coach as well. The good thing with him was that he took the time to get to know the players as a person away from rugby. So he really gained an understanding of what made certain girls tick, when to push them, when to back off, and he really found that really, really good balance, and so that's what it's about when you're in such a big group as well.
Yeah, okay. And are there, again, speaking about the female dynamics, like obviously, and this is not to stereotype at all, but there are a lot of like lesbian gay relationships within team dynamics, and I know in my experience it's still an issue for management and trying to manage those sorts of things. Were there any instances going away, travelling? I know you said like you had a relationship breakdown, but she wasn't in the team travelling. So are there times where that's come into play? Because I've had a experience where we had a player not to pass to another player for a test match because there was a relationship breakdown within the team.
Yeah.
So
yeah, there wasn't. I mean, there were some teams where I was involved in where there was relationships within the team.
Yeah.
I guess at that time, fortunately, the relationships were happy and harmonious and they were working, so it was good. And, you know, credit to those players at the time that when it was rugby time, when it was training time, when it was on time, they switched on.
Yeah,
you
so
know?
they knew the standard.
They knew the standard, they knew the boundaries. But then obviously, you know, you come off the training paddock, you come off the field, and that's your time to switch off.
Yeah.
You know, and you just kind of, you know, and I respected that for those girls, that they were able to do that.
Yeah.
And it was, you know, I mean, it is one of those things where I guess where you're in a you know, you're going to come across those same-sex relationships.
Yeah.
And me personally, I've never had any issues. If that's what people want to do and it works for them, so be it.
Yeah.
You know, so long as when it's go time, it's go time.
Yeah.
You know. But I mean, it does obviously. It can, you know, if it gets a bit nasty or a bit heated or there's disturbances or whatever else, you know, conflict. It's you know, so long as they can keep it out of the team, I guess.
Then it's not an issue. And I guess that goes back again to knowing what makes people tick.
Yep.
Knowing when they need their space, knowing when they need a
it's a maturity level as well, particularly when you're playing at that, you know, national level.
Yeah.
You've got to be able to, you know, have that level of professionalism to be able to switch on and switch off. You're there to do, even though during my era we're not getting paid, but you're still there to do a job.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah. All right. I guess we're just going to put that one out there again because we did want to speak about sexuality. So how is that for you being in a male dominated industry? Was it something I don't see it so much now as an issue. I mean, I guess that's more of a global recognition, but in sport, particularly in rugby, there were some really pretty horrible stereotypes for women that played rugby, and I'm lucky. I think I came in more so at the back end of it.
Yeah.
And also, I was just quite oblivious. I think my first nationals away, and I jumped on the phone to my sister, and I was like, everyone's asking like if I'm gay or not. And I said, I just didn't understand why that would even be a thing. And so you were in rugby or in sport at a high level a long time ahead of my entry into there. Can you shed any light on what that was ever like, if there were any good or bad experiences?
Personally, I think I was lucky to never really cop anything or be exposed to too much. But you kind of, even when you started with going back to cricket, it was sort of like, oh, you're playing cricket, you're playing a male-dominated sport, everyone must be gay. Yeah. You move into rugby, it's like, oh, you must be gay. Like, it's unheard of that there might be somebody who's a heterosexual playing these sports, you know? So there is very much, you kind of get conscious of it because you're trying to, for a good part of it, you're trying to show the boys club that, you know, hang on, I'm here to play sport don't just look at me for...
And I'm good at it.
I go okay.
Yeah.
You know, don't just judge me for the person that I might be, because what I do away from the field has zero impact on what I do on the field, you know.
And it's actually none of your business.
No, I mean, I don't care what anybody does behind closed doors. That's their business, you know. But yeah, I mean, there's always that. You do feel like you're trying to, especially in the early days, you feel like you're trying to break down barriers to prove yourself that, hey, we can do this. You know, we've actually got some skill, we've got some talent. But obviously, as time went on, those barriers, you know, started to break down. And look, I always stood by. Pretty much, I played my entire, apart from 1 year, I played my entire club rugby career at uni of Queensland, and you know, I always still maintained that they were a very welcoming club with having the girls team as part of their club, you know. I actually always felt that the women's team was really valued by the club. They always included us, and that was really, really good, you know. It made it really easy to just, you know, you could go and have a conversation with any of the guys and you could talk footy with them, and it was, you know, really respectful, and it's great, you know. Like, I've actually, I feel privileged that
that's where you were,
that's where I was, and what they do. And you know, I actually I offered to give them one of my Australian jerseys, and you know, I feel honoured that they accepted it and were like, we'll hang that up, and you know, so that they recognise that, and
they're proud of what you were achieving as well.
You know, we have a women's honour board for Queensland and Aussie reps, and I think that's so good, you know. So, you know, kudos to them, and I just think it's, you know, it would be great if, you know, other clubs, other associations, unions really sometimes adopted some of their philosophies. Yeah.
Do you think it was the same across your time in cricket and Gaelic and that sort of thing as well?
Gaelic, you always Gaelic you kind of always mixed with the guys anyway. So Gaelic was so just really mixed and fun and social anyway. There was no real stereotypes or any judgments or anything like that, because it was just that minority. Cricket wasn't, you know, cricket was all right as well. You'd always have some of the older guys who were that, you know, but then you'd have some of the guys who'd be really cool, you know, like one of my good mates, Julia Price, would play, you know, she would play men's grade cricket, you know, and she'd go and show some of the guys up, you know, but it was good that the guys would recognise the talent that she had as a female and accept her into coming and playing men's cricket as well. So, you know, there's always, it's like anything, I guess, there's the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between.
That's right. Do you have any insight for young'uns coming through? I know that a lot of girls, in my experience, who have come through have seen it as such a positive outlet. Do you have any insight into how they do, I guess, become comfortable in coming out, or is it just in their own time? I know a lot of them have used it just so that they can fall into the assumption, like, I'm doing this, so now you can just piece it together, or is it?
I think you find your own feet. Don't be afraid to be who you are. You know, we are in a world now where so many more things are so more widely accepted, and things like what you're doing with this podcast, you know, just opens, I think it's an amazing opportunity. It just opens so many doors and opportunities for young girls to reach out and talk, and you know, just be who you are. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't be something. You know,
Don't try and fit in a box.
Don't try and fit in a box.
It's not your box.
I mean, I had dreams of playing cricket before I even knew women played cricket, but I still pursued it because that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
You know, so if you want to go a particular direction, you go that direction. You be who you want to be, and you don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
Yeah.
You know, it's nice to see. Well, it's nice to see the way the world is changing in positive ways, but then on the flip side, there is still so much stigma and negativity, and you know, so it's it can be pretty daunting sometimes. So it's good to have outlets as well. You know,
and it is. You're right. Like, it's so nice to see the way we're evolving, and that's the whole idea of this platform and that sort of thing, again, is to open up and elevate those conversations and to just create a space so that those stigmas do get broken down. But I guess baby steps.
That's it. Yep. One foot in front of the other.
Yeah, so, and that's all you can do. So I really wanted to touch on that because it's such for some people it's such a sensitive topic to speak about, or about themselves, and then you have people like me who are neither here nor there with even noticing that of a person other than like what you've got them at face value. So I appreciate you sharing.
I remember, like, we had a pretty tight group of friends at high school, you know, and some of us, we still, even once we went to uni, we kept in contact.
Yeah.
You know, and then obviously once I started going to uni, that's when I sort of started to come out.
Yeah. Okay.
And all of a sudden, I hadn't changed as a person. I was still the same person, but all of a sudden, all my friends from high school just dropped off. Tink, 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 tink.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm still the same person, but they just made that judgment, you know. And it was hard for a while, but then and then after a while you go, well, this is me, you know. Yeah. And you're not gonna. Again, it's a cliche, but you're never going to please everybody.
No,
you know?
and as they drop off, I think that just makes space
for the ones who really matter, you know.
That's right.
And so long as you are true to yourself and you're happy within yourself, then that's all you can be.
That's right. And like I said, like I do appreciate it because it's such a, even today, it's such a tricky thing for people to just speak about. And you look at things like, I mean, not that long ago in rugby with Izzy. Why? But I mean, again, like, you know, there's still, there's still mindsets and which they're entitled to have, I guess. But you know what I mean? But there's still, obviously, there's still like large groups, large amounts of populations where the idea of having conversations is not acceptable. So,
and I think in a case, and look, Izzy is very polarising, but I kind of look at it and I go, as much as it hurts me what he says, personally, I look at it and I go, you know what though, he is entitled to his opinion, and that's okay. However, what I look at is I go, if I could have 5 minutes with Izzy, I'd say, mate, have a look at your standing in the public domain. Have a look at the followers that you have on your Instagram, on Twitter. Now, look how many people idolise you. Now, imagine if you've got a 14, 15-year-old young male rugby boy who idolises you, and he's struggling with his sexuality, and he reads that. Where does that leave him? You know, and we know the mental struggles that youth have with that, and that's all I would say. I would say, look, Izzy, that's fine. I get it. You are allowed to have those thoughts, but just please have a think about the impact of you verbalising that, how far-reaching it is. Yeah,
because of the positive influence he does have on certain demographics or just people in general. And the platform he put that out on was...
That's,
an interesting choice.
Yeah.
We'll just leave that in there.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. Thank you. Appreciate that. Where, now that you've
done every sport under the sun really well. I know you're still doing it. So what are you? What's the space you're in now, sports wise? Yeah,
can't sit still.
Yeah.
So rather than trying,
how old are you? Can you tell us how old you are? Because I think it's amazing that you're really setting a benchmark here.
I've cracked the 40s.
Yeah, good. Okay, we'll get that. All you need to say.
I'm now 41.
Yeah. And tell us what you're doing.
So now, because, apparently one sport's not enough, so I'll try and throw 3 in together. So I'm doing triathlons.
Yeah.
Not very good, can I say? But I have a crack. And yeah, look, obviously I was, again, fortunate enough, 2018 was able to pull on the green and gold again down the Gold Coast.
You say it so lightly. I just slapped it on. And I ran out the door to represent my country again.
But it's funny because the greatest pride that I had in that moment was that throughout all my other representative careers, my mum had never got to see me play for Australia live.
Really?
She'd seen me on TV.
Yeah.
Rugby I'd never played. The only test matches I ever played at home was in Canberra.
Okay.
So she actually, my sister brought mum up.
Oh, okay.
So
where were you competing, sorry?
That was down the Gold Coast.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yep. So that was, out of everything, that was probably the greatest pride that I had, that I could finally wear that green and gold, but I did it in front of mum.
Yeah.
And it was just, there's just that little moment where, unfortunately Dad couldn't be there, but I knew he was there, but that was the icing on the cake for me.
Yeah.
That was all his hard work, everything. It all culminated in that, and mum being able to be there. And but yeah, look, look, as I said, it's I just kind of do it for a little bit of fun. I can't sit still.
Yeah. Hyperactive.
So I'm doing mainly more long course now, so doing the Ironman.
Yeah. And just so we are clear, can you let everyone know exactly how far an Ironman is? Because it's ridiculous. And then to do it at 41 is awesome.
So you start obviously with 3.8k swim.
Yeah.
It's 180k bike ride, and then it's a marathon, so a 42.2k run. So
yeah. That's unreal. How many have you done?
3.
Yeah.
Only 3.
Yeah.
Listeners,
most people don't want to run
3.8Ks,
let alone swim it.
Swim it. I know, and I hate swimming.
Good choice of sport.
I know, right? But look, and it's just the good thing with the good thing that I love with triathlon is that it doesn't matter about your body size. It doesn't matter about your age. There's people who are in their 70s still doing Ironman, so I've got nothing.
Yeah,
I got lots of years to go yet. Just don't tell my partner. Yeah. No, I'm joking. We've had this conversation. I'm not going to do it forever.
When are you giving it up?
That's what I always constantly get asked.
Yeah.
But look, I just love, that it's a sport that just, you go up to Noosa and there's, you could be struggling and people will still cheer you on. It's such an inclusive and welcoming sport. Age, gender, weight, just nothing matters.
Ability.
Just ability. You just get out and have a go, and you actually find, like, when you do an Ironman triathlon, you get given like a different sort of wristband, so or a bib, so you can actually identify some of your first timers and stuff. And I remember my first year, and people would just be high fives and well done, and because they read your names, like, good work Trish, well done, and because it's just, you're doing your first one, it's awesome. And somebody could be doing their 20th, but it's
like a community.
It really is. And it's funny, there's so many people around me who, yourself, you think I'm crazy, but there's
kind of,
it's you step into the world of triathlon and it's like, it's just an entire world of crazies, and it's just next level.
But
it's look, mentally, it's such a challenge, and I just love, for me, I have that sick level of trying to find the limits of my body and then trying to push beyond it and reach new levels and just see how far I can go before my body breaks, really.
Yeah, I did want to sort of segue into that with like the mentality, because I think you've got like an unreal mental capacity as it is, just across the sports you play, the level you've played, just the person that I know you to be. What do you think it is with your mental, like how do you, or what do you apply?
Stupidity.
Yeah. Well, aside from that and the craziness and the hyperactivity, what do you tell yourself? How do you mentally prepare? How do you mentally carry on when you're 100 k's in and you still have 80 k's to go on a bike and then run 42 k's? Like that, I know, like I would tap out.
And look, my coach, is always very clear that if you're going to go and do something crazy like an Ironman, you have to know your why. Yeah. Because when you're at that 100k mark on the bike, or you're getting off the bike and you know you've got to still run a marathon and you're like, holy shit, why am I doing this? Yeah. You've got to know the answer. Yeah. I remember doing my first Ironman, and she said, don't set a time, just go out there, set some fun goals. Me being me, of course I set a time, but the main goal was still just to soak it up, smile, enjoy the atmosphere. And for the entire time I was out there, I don't think I stopped smiling. It was just, it was amazing. But then
stoked you're doing it.
Yeah, but then you do your second and your third and you're like, shit, that was my time last year. Even though it's a different course, different conditions, I still need to, this is me, competitive, gotta beat it, improve it, come on, you can do this. And then, little things happen, and you've got to be able to know why and dig deep. And
what is your why?
Because I'm just stupid.
Yeah.
No, I just purely because I'm just.
That's just you as a person.
It's just me as a person. I just, I'm finding that next level the whole time. Like we were talking earlier, that obviously last year I did the Ironman in Taupo. Happy birthday to myself.
Happy 40th.
Happy 40th.
Most people go to Hawaii or something.
I go and do an Ironman. Yeah. And then obviously I was backing up and picked up a bit of a knee injury before I went to Port Mac and did the race. And, I was talking to my coach. So 2 weeks out, all of a sudden can't run. What are we going to do? We'll rest it and we'll just see how we go. And got off the bike and the knee just didn't want to play. And so but again, your why then changes. Yep. It turns into, all of a sudden my times, my goals, things like that are out the door. But you find, right, it's a game of survival. I'm not going to let this beat me, and it is what it is. And, so it's, I'm a stubborn little shit. Yeah. You tell me I can't do something, I'm going to go and do it. Yeah. So, but it's always finding that next level and just being professional in everything you do. It's I'd always drill into the girls at rugby that hate me, because we would do drills, and if your foot was so much as on the white line, I would scream at you.
I don't. Do you know? And you probably don't even remember. And it's funny because I share this with, actually I did a podcast with Avril Mitchell.
She would have hated me.
But you were such a prominent, but like someone who just completely set a standard for her of this is how it go. Anyway, and it was funny that she brought you up as a person, because I said, what my very first nationals, which I don't even, you wouldn't remember probably, but it was, and I'd played like 6 games of footy. Yep. So I was really fit, but super shit. Like I could barely catch. Anyway, I was on the bench, and Shano tore like a MCL, ACL, PCL.
MCL, wasn't it? Yep.
So she came off, and they're like, Gerbs, you're on. And I'm like, oh, hang on a minute. And I just wasn't prepared for that. Anyway, in short, you and I think we're playing the TARS.
New South Wales. Yep.
Yeah. You are screaming your lungs out at me. Last man's feet. And I was, you're just constantly like yelling at me. Last man's feet, and I am looking at you like just shit terrified. And also in my head, like, the hell's last man's feet mean? Like, I just was so green. And so, yeah, like, you definitely were a person and player to set a standard and really drill it into someone.
It was just, it was just, I always used to say to the girls, I would rather you give 10 centimetres, 20 centimetres at the ruck than 30, 40 metres down the field giving a penalty, and it's everything, it's just discipline. Everything that you do in training, you're going to go out and do in a field. And
I think you apply that to yourself, obviously. Because, here we are.
That's it.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think that's great. And I think your journey and just you've got such a credible track record and achievements of a multitude of sport. It's just unbelievable. I wanted to ask you, as we wrap up, your best advice that you've been given to help you get to where you are today. I probably should have given you a heads up on this.
Yeah, probably.
But it was in the questions I didn't send you.
Thanks for that. Yeah, I'll send you questions. What questions? Look, from a personal level, and this was, again, I was going through and this is away from sport, and I was going through a rough patch, and I actually it's a quote that I just live by, regardless, and it's, everything's okay in the end, and if it's not okay, it's not the end.
Yeah,
and
that's so good.
I love that, and I just, it's
that would resonate with so many people.
It can just resonate across so many different platforms to so many people at so many different levels. And look, as I said, like, if you are a young female who's aspiring to pursue a career in sport, then you do it. Because at the end of the day, you can give it your best shot and you still might fall short, but so long as you can walk away knowing that you've given it your best shot, then you can hold your head high. But don't ever let people tell you that you can't. Always have a crack, but it all still will come back to that whole everything's okay.
And if
it's not, then it's not the end. It means that there's something else to come.
And that's great. I love that.
I just live by it, as I said, sport, life, work. There's so many times where I've been in a cruddy situation after my accident, and you're sitting there and you're going, why? And you just go, well, you know what, everything will be okay. That's right. If it's not okay, then it's not the end. There's something more to come. And you can you can apply it to anything. I love it. I
love it too. I think that's so good. I always I always think, and I don't even know who told it to me, but they say everything always ends up exactly the way it's supposed to.
Yep.
And so whatever's going on, that's what's supposed to be going on.
Yep. You're where you're meant to be.
Yeah, exactly right. That's cool. I love it. And finally, I just wanted to ask you what your hopes would be for young females in sport for the future.
I just want to see it keep growing. I want to see young girls feel comfortable in being able to pursue a career in sport, and I think, as we said, kudos to the girls who are at that level now, who are now, you've got girls, you go to an AFLW match and you see little girls and boys wearing jerseys with, the Lions names on their backs and things like that. And you've actually got, the women's cricketers, they've got role models to look up to, and I just want to see that continue to grow and blossom. And, obviously it's unprecedented times with the COVID and everything like that. And you just hope that we don't have to take all those backward steps to then try and fight our way back to where we got to. Hopefully we can just pick up where we left off and
and continue to grow.
You just want it to go from strength to strength.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's awesome seeing young girls get out there and have a crack, because I'll tell you what, sometimes they can show the boys up.
That's right. And I think you are probably someone who was able to do that. So just while we finish up, just thank you so much for coming on and sharing. And thank you for, you know, being, like we said, the contribution you gave is something to be really proud of. If you look at where girls are now at cricket, at sevens, at footy, you played a pivotal part, I think, in that, and pioneering and paving the way. So thank you. And
thank you, Kirst.
Yeah,
it's been great.
Chats. Yeah,
it's good.
It's been good to catch up.
It's been awesome. I love it. And you know what you're doing, it's, you know, kudos to you, because it's
Thanks.
just it's opening up the chatter for young girls, and it's really good. So thank you for what you're doing.
You are so welcome. And that's it.
Awesome.
Done.
Thanks, mate.